Good news today if you're a Georgia fan. Not so good news if you're a sucknut man for Ohio State. Georgia's going to roll today on the road at Mississippi State. They play tonight at 7 o'clock. I know it's a road game. I know it's an SEC road game. I know it's at night. I know Will Rogers is going to throw the ball 50 times. I know about Mike Leach and his Bigfoot offense. I know about all that. I also know about the Georgia versus Missouri game and Georgia versus Kent State game. On these casual fans out there that don't understand, Georgia was just sleepwalking through the middle of a season because they're just so much better than everybody they play. They just basically took a nap for a few weeks. But try checking the scores of their last 4 or 5 games. Let's see, they beat Auburn 42-10, then Vandy 55-0, then Florida 42-20, then Tennessee 27-13, Mississippi State, you're next. Plus, plenty of motivation here. Georgia can wrap up the SEC East with a win today on the road and start Vegas against a terrible Mississippi State team that runs the ball for an average of 80 yards per game. Look, I agree the way to attack Georgia is through the air, but if you can't run the ball, you're not going to be able to attack them through the air, right? Tennessee tarred, man. Tennessee couldn't run the ball last week, so guess what? They couldn't throw the ball. Well, Mississippi State can't run the ball against decent teams, or terrible teams, I mean. Mississippi State, for the year, is averaging 80 yards. They don't even try to run the ball. So Georgia can stop whatever little bit of a run game Mississippi State pretends to have with 3 or 4 people up front and put the rest in the back to bother Will Levis all day. Or we can send an extra 1 or 2 and put Will Levis's dick in the dirt multiple times. Probably be a combination of those 2 things. But Mississippi State is just outmatched in this game. They're not going to win. Georgia's about a 16 or a 17-point favorite. They'll win by 4 scores. Write that down if you need to. Speaking about favorites, our buddies Ohio State are 40.5-point favorites over Indiana today. And I agree, Indiana's a terrible team. They're almost as bad as Northwestern, aren't they? Ohio State, man. Look at Ohio State's mascot. What do they call that thing? I forget. Rufus or Doofus? I forget what they call the Ohio State mascot. It looks like a roly-poly with a hockey puck for a head. It's just really weird. But the bad news is for Ohio State, although it is a home game in Columbus, Ohio, see, check the weather forecast. It's snowing there. And you already know Ohio State can't play good football unless it's in ideal weather. That's not my opinion. That's what Ohio State man has been telling me for almost a year. Every time Ohio State plays bad or loses, it's because of the weather. That's what they tell you. They got ran off the field and beat out of the building last year by their big brother Michigan. Ohio State is soft. Soft. Anyway, they blamed it on the weather. Okay, well, great. Now, last week, they struggled against Northwestern, have a hard time controlling the line of scrimmage against the Northwestern team that's ranked 110th against the run. What'd they tell you? Well, it was windy, though. There's some guy on Twitter, I'll put it up if I can remember. Some guy on Twitter blamed Ohio State's offensive line issues against Northwestern last week on the fact that the wind was too loud. Not that it was blowing. I don't even need to explain that. Ohio State couldn't block Northwestern last week because the wind was too loud? What is wrong with the Ohio State people? Well, it's going to be snowing in bad conditions in Columbus, Ohio today, so I guess even though the Sucknut Man is a 40.5-point favorite, they're either going to lose or play like complete shit and barely win, and then blame it on the weatherman. I'm telling you, I've been saying it forever. Ohio State fans versus the weather is the greatest rivalry in all of sports. Enjoy your college football Saturday.